Alright, the camera batteries are running out, so I gotta try to like gun through these last thoughts, because I want to get it all, I just have it all like to get out right now. I want to try to get it all out. I'm getting close. So Gunsmith, we're talking about like the pros and cons. I would like to see them have the actual legitimate numbers on those pros and cons. So if it says like pros aim down sight speed, I want to see aim down sight speed increased, or sorry, decreased, or speed time decreased by like, I don't know, like 0.02 seconds, like whatever it is. I want those exact numbers for all the stuff in the Gunsmith, because otherwise you have to base it off of feel, and that's unreliable, so I'm not a big fan of that. And I don't think there's really like, I don't think there's really a negative to including those numbers, because casual players are just going to see like, oh, pros, it makes my aim down sight time better. Cool, that's all I need to know. And like the people that are more into it, the more hardcore players are going to like want to know those stats. So I don't, you know, having that pros and con like category, but also having the numbers, I think is just going to like benefit both those crowds. And, you know, maybe like seeing the numbers, even if they don't understand it at first, maybe that'll get like the casual audience interested in that type of stuff. They're like, oh, like they have like these legitimate like stats for the guns and how they work and shit like that. Like, oh, I should look into that. This might be kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't really see there being too much of a negative to that, to adding that. And I just think it'd be pretty nice. Another critique that I have is of the cons and pros they decide to do. The con, almost every con, or like the mass majority of cons for attachments in the beta is aim down sight speed. And I would like to see that mixed up a little bit. Because, again, like adding with the campy nature and how hard you have to pre-aim in this game, it makes sense. Like if you want these attachments that improve other things, almost all of them make your ADS speed worse. So you have to use a very specific set of attachments that don't have that con, or just not use attachments at all. So again, like I just think that contributes to the campy style of the game, and I don't think it's very good like balancing that. That's like the con on almost all of them, because it is. Like anybody that's played it, looked at the Gunsmith, knows that that's just the way it like worked out for. So yeah, but overall though, I think it's a really cool concept. I do enjoy it. I think it's an overall net positive. It could use some improvements, but I'm excited about the Gunsmith. Another thing I want to bring up is the spawns, and this is something that everybody's talked about, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but the spawns are terrible in this game. One thing that I do want to bring up is I think there is one factor that I don't know if the developers are looking at, but like particularly, so the spawns in Ground War are terrible. The spawns in Ground War need like a complete rework. That's all I'm going to say on that. They're just awful. But when it comes to like the actual 6v6, there's a little aspect to the spawning that I think is part of what's making the spawning so bad. And I think the developers need to genuinely look into it. And it's that new like delay, that new spawn screen where it pops you up in the air and then you come on down. You know, it chooses where you're spawning when you're up in the air, so before you're actually spawned. So when you get that animation, when that animation starts, it has been chosen where you're spawning. And then you swoop in and you spawn. A lot can happen during that time, especially on these Call of Duty maps and Call of Duty gameplay. A lot can happen during that time. And I think that that is part of what's contributing to the spawns being so bad. The fact that that spawn gets chosen, and then like a second and a half, 2 seconds later you spawn in. Like, that's just not a good system. It's really annoying already in the beta. I've had a lot of people comment on just not, like, just being annoyed by it. And on top of being it being annoying, it may be a big negative impact towards the gameplay for why the spawns are so bad. So I would like to see, keep it in the Ground War mode. It's cool for that. You know, cool effect for that. But for the 6v6, leave it out. I really hope that happens, by the way, because that shit's actually going to be really fucking annoying if that's still in the game. That's like one of the biggest complaints, honestly. And again, the spawns are the biggest complaints, so it goes hand in hand. Can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, but after playing the beta, after doing some experiments myself, and just observing my gameplay, observing others' gameplay, observing how the game goes when I play solo, how the game goes when I play in a party with friends, observing the skill level of those friends, the skill level of the players that I play against, I strongly believe that there is some heavy skill-based matchmaking in the beta, and I hate to bring it up, but I fucking hate it. Skill-based matchmaking is not fun at all. I'm okay with ranked modes. Ranked modes are fine, but casual playlists should be casual. It should just be connection. And yeah, fuck the skill-based matchmaking in this game. It's great for ranked play. You know, if they come out with a ranked playlist in this game, it's probably going to be amazing. But for fucking pubs, it's awful. And it just makes it too hard. My biggest complaint is a lot of people like to play COD in a party, and it's hard to have a party of players that are like, ideally you want to have a party with skill-based matchmaking that's like around the same skill level, and that just doesn't happen, you know? In any friend group, it's so damn rare for that to happen. It's not always going to be like a super big gap, but there's always going to be enough of a gap to like throw it off, and some people are going to be having a better time in the party and some people are not, and it's just not fun. Casual matchmaking should be casual matchmaking. Do completely away with the skill-based matchmaking before release, and if they don't, it might kill the game for me. Like, I'm not even joking. It might kill the game for me. It is. I genuinely think it is a big contributor to why I had such little amounts of fun in the beta, and with all the other critiques that I have, I think that just removing the skill-based matchmaking would solve so much and would make the game feel a lot more casual like it should, and just be a lot more fun. Next I want to talk about the mini-map. So originally the game wasn't going to have mini-map, then they added in a shitty mini-map, and they also have like this compass that like has red dots on it, but it's not as precise as the old red dots, and I would like to see the classic COD mini-map come back. Okay, I gave it a shot, I stayed open-minded, I gave it a shot. I hate this fucking mini-map, and especially with like all the other issues in this game, it just exacerbates them, and I fucking hate it. I think that it would solve a lot of the campiness, and I think that the game would be a lot easier to play and the maps would be a lot easier to stomach if the classic COD, and the game would be less campy, I believe. I think that with the addition of the red dots, people were complaining about red dot chasing, which is like never a big complaint that I heard before. I didn't know that people complained about red dot chasing. I thought it was just part of COD, and if you had an issue with people chasing after your red dot, you could just set up, predict where they're going to come from, and get easy kills on them. So, I don't know. But I think that this game needs red dot chasing. I think it does. I think it needs those red dots. I think it needs that classic COD minimap, so that you can actually like play around your team and actually like be fucking aware. Because I would argue that having this shitty minimap makes the game less team play focused and less tactical, right? Like that's their whole thing with this game, is like, oh, it's gonna be this team play thing. It's gonna be this really tactical COD. You're gonna be working with your team. No, if you can't see the fucking teammates on the radar, dude, it is so damn hard to work with people if you can't see their location on the radar, because you can't always rely on their communication, right? But if you can look at the radar, you can see what they're doing and you can work with them. You can use that to help you work with them, add on to the communication. Without it, I feel like without that good mini-map, I feel like I'm just a lone wolf. I feel like I lone wolf a lot more because I cannot trust the information on that radar. It doesn't give me enough. And if I can't trust it, then all I can trust is myself, and I have to play completely around myself. It makes it a more selfish game, not a more selfless game. So I think they completely missed the mark on that. And on top of that, again, it makes it more campy. I think not having the red dots and having that like compass thing, also splitting the red dots into the compass, is the worst way of solving it, because it just makes it more cluttered. The complaint before, oh, you have people just staring at the minimap, now you're gonna have people staring at the minimap and staring at the compass. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Just go solve so much by just going back to the classic COD minimap. Solve so much just by doing that. Simple. Final thing. Okay, and I probably forgot some stuff, but like final thing. The visibility. Nope, not the final thing. We're gonna go over the sound first. I already talked about some of this stuff, but I'm just gonna go over it quick. The sound design in this game is terrible. It's not great, okay? Like, the sounds sound good, but the practicality, the actual gameplay of the sound design. Okay, if I'm gonna use like a graphics gameplay comparison here, like the graphics, like the aesthetics of the sound it's great. It sounds great in your ears, like kind of, except it's really fucking loud. But the actual like sounds themselves are crispy and punchy and they sound good. Except for the fact that you can't fucking tell where they're coming from. Like, footstep audio is terrible, gunshot audio is terrible, and inconsistent. Like, sometimes audio just doesn't play on footsteps or gunshots. Sometimes you're not the one getting shot at and it sounds like shots are whizzing past your ear. The sound design's terrible. It really is. Like, it's in an awful state and it really needs to get fixed. Otherwise it's going to be a major issue in this game. And I hope that they get working on that, because right now it is really terrible. We used to joke about Black Ops 4 about the sound design, like, how does this game win an award for sound design when there's like issues with the sound design in this game? And then this game, Modern Warfare, makes it even worse. It's like, literally, the sound design's even worse right now. And it's unfortunate because the sounds themselves are punchy and sound good. If they couple that with good sound design, it'll be great. And another complaint is that the sound is just like too damn loud. Yeah, you have the audio settings, but a lot of people don't adjust those. A lot of people don't know that you can adjust those. The default mix should be way fucking quieter. The kill streak should be toned down massively. So goddamn loud. Every fucking kill streak, dude, it gives me a headache. Like, I never have this problem with games. This game legitimately, 2 days of the beta has given me a headache. And I never have that issue with games. And I think a large part of it is due to the sound. I think that the sound is disorienting, and it makes me want to not play the game. So visually, again, like, aesthetically, the game looks good, but practically, it doesn't. The visibility is awful. There's so many issues with the lighting. The game has, like, the worst interior lighting of any fucking game I've ever played. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it does. It's literally the worst. The amount of contrast on the maps is unbelievable, and the players don't stick out, so that doesn't help anything either. It's like, oh, if the lighting was really bad, as long as the character models stuck out, it wouldn't be that big of an issue, but they don't, so there's that. There goes that. And I think that player visibility is one of my biggest issues so far. And with the lighting, like, I think that adds on. I probably wouldn't be as mad at the maps if I could fucking see the maps that I'm playing on, you know? Like, that would probably help that issue. There's so many issues that I've brought up in this video, and any time that I've talked about this game that are interconnected and interwoven, that it's just hard to not talk about them with each other, because a lot of them really do affect each other like that and just go together like that. So yeah, final thoughts. It seemed like it was a really negative video, which, I mean, very passionate video, I'd say that, and probably mostly negative, but again, I don't want to hear that thing that I've seen a lot this weekend that's like, oh, it's just a beta, man. It's like, no, it is just a beta. Now is the fucking time to let that shit out. Now is the time to give the developers your feedback. Before you even roll it back, it's not a beta, okay? It's not a beta. The game, I've been through this shit before, so I know how this goes. The game, it's a preview of the game. It's like a demo. That's what this is. The game comes out in a fucking month. Do you really think that much is gonna change? Like, now is the time to give the developers the feedback and to be annoying about the shit that really needs to change, to hope that that shit makes it in for the final product of the game. But what, they ship out the games, what, like 2 weeks before they come out? And this beta is about a month before the game comes out? It's a demo, okay? It is a demo. It is not a beta. It's not like we're a year out of the game. The game is coming. What you're seeing now is like 90% of what the game's gonna be. Not content-wise, but like the way it plays, it's like 90% of what the game's gonna be. So I don't want to hear any of that shit, okay? Like, now is the time for, you can be like overly nitpicky, but like, feedback. The whole thing is about feedback. People should be giving their feedback. You should not be like shutting down people for that. Whether it's positive feedback or negative feedback, all feedback should be encouraged at this time. So yeah, I just had to get that out there because I'm just so sick and tired of fucking seeing that. So annoying. You can't talk about, the game is so damn polarizing, you can't talk about this game positively or negatively without someone taking it in like one direction. Talk about it positively, someone negative is just gonna be like, how the fuck do you do that? Talk about it negatively, someone's just gonna be like, how could you say anything negative about this? It's like, fucking, people have opinions, man. Like, now's the time to talk about it. Let's let it out. And I've heard a lot of different stuff about the game, that's fine. And from what I've seen, like, the game has been really polarizing. You know, I haven't seen a lot of like middle ground opinions. I've seen a lot of like best COD ever, worst COD ever, and a lot of it depends on like the communities too, right? Like, I saw Hutch do a poll. I know Clan mentioned this. I don't know if he mentioned it when I was streaming or if it was during the podcast. And Hutch's poll on like the final opinion, if you don't know Hutch, like, long time Call of Duty, one of the original like Call of Duty commentators, and his poll got a mostly like positive response. But at the same time, Hutch is like a Call of Duty player, Call of Duty streamer. You would imagine that if he does a poll on like a Call of Duty game, it's probably going to get a general positive response from his audience, right? If you did a poll on it from like a Battlefield player did a poll on it, I would imagine that those results would be much different. And you know, like, there's all these different audiences, there's all these different people trying the game. It's hard to get a good gauge on it. With the way social media is, it's hard to get an accurate gauge on how everybody, you know, felt about the beta. It's really hard to do that, but I'm just going off my own observations, the people that I've played with and talked to, and the people that I follow. And it seems that in my circle, it's been really polarizing. It's been not a lot of middle ground. It's been a lot of like really loving the game or really hating the game. And I sit more towards, at least for the beta, I sit more towards the negative side. I'm still trying to hold a middle ground with the game. because there are parts of it, like I didn't mention the movement that much, like the super sprint is really cool, and I think the movement in the game is, I prefer Black Ops 4's movement, but I think that this movement fits this game very well, so I don't have much to complain about with it. So I think that, yeah, I think it fits the game really well, so I can't really say anything bad about it. I like the gunplay. And the movement, and that's like the core things of first-person shooters, so that's good. But there's just so much other stuff that needs to be addressed, and that's what's holding me back. I really love the core aspects of the game, but there's just so many other issues, and if they fix those issues, this could be this could be an amazing game. This could be like a game changer. But no, this could be something crazy. This could be something really big and something to put COD back on the map. But right now, if these issues prevail, I don't know if that's going to be the case. But we'll see. I'm hopeful for this game. I think it's a good a good starting point, and if Infinity Ward can listen to the feedback and make the changes in the right spots, I think they could have something special. And I hope that happens. I'm going to stay skeptical, as I have throughout this entire game, especially with the beta, because the beta, if anything, lowered my opinion by a lot than what it was like speculating going in. But again, I'm just going to hope for the best, and I hope that it works out, because this game could be really special, but right now it's not. And I think that's a good note to end the video on. You know, post your own feedback. These videos, I genuinely want to hear everyone's opinion. I really do. I've been looking for everybody's opinion, so don't think about posting something and be like, he's not gonna care. Like, other people might not care. I'll read it. So, you know, if it's gonna be like a fucking 5,000 word comment, I don't care, or a 2-word comment. Post your thoughts on the game, the video, whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time.